So there's a part of every year when you look at the rosters and you look at the contracts and you look at certain players and you think to yourself in disgust, how the hell did that person get that player on that contract? Is that something from 7 years ago that has just continued to roll over and slowly add up to the point where there's only a 520K price tag on Geno Smith as a starting quarterback? Is it that the player was a fifth round pick or undrafted free agent that popped and they've been able to maintain them at league minimum salary and extend them as such? Or was it a $117 million quarterback that got renegotiated twice? Sometimes you look at these contracts and say, I don't know how the hell that happened. And this is the time of year that makes that kind of stuff happen. We know the podcast is always a great way for teams to shamelessly plug the stuff they're trying to move. And I'm just saying, Christian McCaffrey can be renegotiated to an $8 million running back. And there's a lot of teams with a renegotiation still. So that's what we're going to focus on in today's episode, is we're going to go through the teams who still have extensions, renegotiations, and things that we think they could do that are on their roster. Or, hey, they should go acquire this, and there are a couple good renegotiation contracts to go do that with. We've got about a week until rollover, and then those things are going to be gone. So time is a wasting. We are ending the year on Bidness. And speaking of business, there's one person who always takes care of business. Well, during the regular season this year, didn't do so great in the playoffs in terms of that business, but I think he did pretty well in the regular season business. Right, RJ?
Yeah, I did. I did pretty decent.
I thought so too. So, like I said, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 teams with a renegotiation still. Last year, you can use that renegotiation for a half the contract price. So, some things to be done here. But, and then all but 5 teams have an extension left. So, lots of contract stuff that can still be figured out here. But requires people to kind of get up and get some thoughts brewing. So of the renegotiations, where should we start? Let's go to Cowboys first here. I think they're an interesting renegotiation team. So they have their, going back to double check this, renegotiation as well as 3 regular extensions. Contracts worth taking a look at. So Hurts is probably not something that can be renegotiated for any kind of major savings, but David Montgomery might be able to be. Mostert's probably, more of a cut candidate, but Devontae Adams might be, a contract worth taking a closer look at. Most of the defense, probably not so much, but from an extension point of view here, that's where some of that may make a little bit more sense. Is there anything that kind of jumps out at you for, things that Cowboys should be thinking about?
I think you hit on Montgomery would be a good one. That'll cut his contract in half. That's about all I'm really seeing of players that I would want to add more years to. Maybe Jadeveon.
How old is Jadeveon now?
Old. 31.
31. Yeah, he's ancient in terms of the end years. He only had 4.5 sacks last year. I feel like every time I looked up in a Panthers game, he was sacking somebody. But
yeah.
I didn't watch a lot of Panthers games.
Yeah, that thinking about it now, I guess that's more of a, if you get desperate and you need somebody just to tack a couple of years onto to make sure their contract is still reasonable. Um, yeah, I think you covered it on that on Cowboys.
Well, and again, they're a rebuilding team too, so they're definitely a team that should be on the hunt for something that could be renegotiated, and you know, to either flip that item or stash that item on the team. So, not necessarily something that is aging, but something that got overpaid for either in free agency or as a fifth year or something like that. So, I'm sure we'll come up with a couple of ideas as we go through some rosters here, but um, we'll find some suggestions for you to go trade for, Cowboys. I know you're on the hunt. Let's move to the West and look at the Cardinals. So, Cardinals have 2 extensions and a renegotiation still. They just traded for Jaleel McLaughlin, who's getting paid $20 million, or 19.9, excuse me. That's kind of it. Everyone else is pretty cost controlled, or Kenny Pickett. In terms of extensions, I mean, I don't really want to extend a $5 million corner. Nakobe Dean, I think, is on his rookie contract, so he can't be extended yet. This is a first round rookie. Thornton's not really worth extending. Pickens is on his rookie contract, and first rounders are not able to be extended yet. So he's got some trading to do to try and use some of those extensions. Anything else that I'm missing?
No, I think that's about it.
Yeah. He's got the picks to, do a little shopping.
All right.
I would probably extend the Minnesota linebacker just on the off chance that he just happens to be a guy that, he's a third round pick. If he happens to be a guy that just works his way up to, a rotation or a starting role.
Yeah, he's been a guy who just hasn't seen the field yet much. You're talking about Osamo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if you don't acquire someone who needs an extension, that's probably a pretty good in-house candidate just for the gamble. But maybe just add a year, right? You don't want to commit too much to someone who's literally done nothing.
Let's see. So actually a team that has both multiple candidates for renegotiation and probably should trade the ones he doesn't renegotiate are the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
1 renegotiation, 2 extensions. Sam Darnold at $41.7 million got extended, but a renegotiation is probably reasonable based off his performance last year. Let's see what that bring him down to. QB average. Darnold was QB 8.
Oh, that's not going to be much then.
Drops about $8 million.
Okay.
And then Demarcus Robinson is another one. That would cut in half. Granted.
How old is he?
30.
Yeah, I think I would prefer Darnold over that.
Yeah, I would agree.
I mean, the thing with Darnold, right? He's likely going to get a multi-year deal. So lowering his market price isn't a horrible idea.
Yeah, Alex Highsmith is interesting. He was kind of the darling there next to Watt, although that may have faded a little bit with some injury this year.
Can we take a second to appreciate the Kobe Turner contract and how you were essentially forced to pay him an insane amount of money or just have him on an expiring deal?
Oh man, that's painful.
Yeah, interesting. Like Ravens hasn't been very active. I feel like he was pretty active. Like obviously like during the season, but like I know I've like had I think a couple offers expire with him in the last couple of weeks. I'm assuming he's going to make a couple moves, especially with Tyreek potentially. Like is that I guess it's going to be a tag at minimum, but
That'd be a fun one to go into free agency.
there's no way he lets him walk. That'd be a Purdy situation.
I think he'll get a tag for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Let's see. Where is Hill? Tyreek Hill, wide receiver 32. Interesting. That surprises me. Juwan Jennings, wide receiver 28. I make mistakes sometimes.
It's okay. I once gave away Van Ginkel as a cap dome.
Sometimes shit happens. Wow. Point per game. Puka Nacua with only 210 points was wide receiver 6. I was thinking, oh, he's not Pro Bowl. Maybe that's a good guy to extend now. Nope.
I mean, that was inevitable that he's going to just be expensive one day.
Yeah, sorry. I jumped the Lions next, but I should probably just put it out there. Anyone else on the Ravens that jumps out to you guys?
No.
I think Darnold makes the most sense. Lower that number a bit. It's a position that, like you feel good about him going into whatever, like age 32 at the end of that contract. And like we still having a job, so that makes sense. I know, yeah, I think he's younger than Patrick Mahomes, right? Like,
yeah,
we got to keep that in mind.
What a difference a game makes. Younger than Patrick Mahomes. Oh, okay, that's a great deal. All right, so looking at Lions, interesting one. Mac Wilson is probably who jumps out at me as a renegotiation. Drops 10 million. He's only 26.
Yeah. I don't know.
Question is that a role you want? He's going to free up a couple of bigger contracts here. I'm surprised he hasn't tried to dump Kareem Hunt on somebody.
Well, he just bought him, didn't he?
Yeah. I do recall Kareem Hunt being purchased recently.
Does he still have all of his extensions too? I'm not looking at the sheet.
Taking a look here. So Lions has 2 extensions and a renegotiation.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like everyone that has a renegotiation open should be trying to cash it, buy some sort of a player for a later pick to take advantage of the last year of a 50% discount.
Right. So
is he at the point where he should because London and Olave are going to pick up their 5th year next year, is that right?
Yeah, so I think he's got one more year of everything being cheap, but then they're going to pick up their 5th year. Puka is going to be 2 years left next year and going to need an extension. So things are going to get expensive in a hurry for him.
$100 million worth of wide receivers.
Yeah.
So, again,
there's not a world where he would pick up one of those early.
Nope.
Yeah.
They're all first rounders. There's no way to.
Yeah.
Or,
well, you could.
Because
You
of
could
Pro
just...
Bowler. Wait, yeah.
So, maybe one of the more fun teams that still has business to do, and I'm really surprised because he's a guy who loves to do business, is the Texans. So, again, let's go through some highlights. There's Jahmyr Gibbs on his roster, Najee Harris finishing out his fifth-year option, Jahmyr Chase going into his fifth-year option, Devonta Smith going into his fifth-year option, Mark Andrews for $17.1 million. Two defensive tackles at about $6.5 million apiece. $32 million of defensive ends. JOK going into his fifth-year option. And about $27.7 million in terms of cap room, and Daniel Jones at quarterback. So why is this important?
He doesn't have enough extensions.
Well, Jamar Chase gets his fifth-year option is $21 million, plus he's a Pro Bowler. So that's going to get real fucking expensive. Devonta Smith, I think it's about $17 million. Not a Pro Bowler, but that's about to get $14 million more expensive. Najee, if he keeps him, gets a lot more expensive. Has an opportunity to cut some costs in terms of D-end, but how much do you want to extend either of those contracts? Hotek is 27, and Cooper is also 27. So both are probably okay to renegotiate and keep around.
But are either like a 50% cut? I don't think so, right?
118 at 15.3. I'd imagine he'd get 50% on Hotek.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about Cooper.
Yeah.
Probably not Cooper.
Probably not Cooper. Yeah. That's an option. What about I'm not saying you want to do it, but no, probably not. I was just thinking about the Daniel Jones contract. Just want to cut that bad boy in half and eat the years? Probably not, but
I mean, times come to just dump that.
Yeah, you have to pay somebody to take that. That's going to be a fourth or a couple of fours.
Yeah.
I don't know who's willing to eat that 3-year.
I don't know if it's going to happen before rollover. Money's somewhat tight.
I think there's a couple teams who have some maneuverability, but again, I think unfortunately it's a lot of the teams that don't usually jump out there and make a lot of moves happen.
Yeah.
So something's got to break on the Texan side here. Either he's got to jump in and make some things happen, or I know I'm going to send him a couple offers when this is all said and done. But I mean, on the trade beat, he's got a lot of those big names on there because he's probably got to move 2 or 3 of them to make everything fit. So could find himself with a completely different team and the flow charts to explain it all.
Yeah, he's gonna need a big couple of days here before the deadline. A couple moves to set himself up for the new year.
So the team that probably enjoys the renegotiation item the most, Goose, still has his. He has some expensive contracts because he has to hit the cap floor. So he likes to be, judicious with those. But the problem is a lot of the things that people he would use them on are Pro Bowlers. So Caden Ellis makes some sense. Even though he's 29, dropping 19 million down, potentially, but he's a Pro Bowler. TJ Edwards, Pro Bowler. Bates is cheap enough. Chubb, I don't know if you want to. He's 28. I don't know if you want to take his 3 years to 5. Same kind of story with Hunter Henry. 30 years old with 4 years already. I don't know if I want to have him for 6 more years, even if it's cheaper.
Yeah, like Chubb, I could see. But I agree on Henry. That's definitely not one I'd want.
And then he also has 3 extensions, which, let's see, are there any slam dunk things here?
He used one on Bates. I saw that post yesterday or today.
Makes some sense. I think there's some other ones he would use, but you'd rather trade them first, like Emmanuel Wilson or Ty Chandler, people like that.
People that has probably been floating in boxes left and right.
Oh, you've seen this too.
Yep.
I got one goose offer recently, and I was considering it, and he revoked it.
That's why you revoked it, because you were considering it. All right, let's move over to the Raiders.
I may have like 6 spiteful goose offers sitting in my queue right now that I have not. I will not do him the honor of rejecting.
Do him the honor of rejecting. I love our league. It's an honor to reject something.
I mean, it's literally like a joke offer.
All right. Is he on his? He is not on his rookie deal anymore. Interesting. DK Metcalf at $14.5 million is not on a rookie deal and is not a top 32 receiver.
That'd be a great one.
Who has DK?
The Raiders.
He also needs to extend Lamar still.
So he's got to find some space.
Yeah. Well, DK, I mean, that's a great one because it's not 50%, I'm sure, but it's probably.
So Metcalf was wide receiver 38 last year. $38 is $9 million.
Yeah, I would do that in a heartbeat.
So that takes him to 6 years at 27 years old. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, obviously, like the end of that, you're going to be a little meh, but like that's a sub-market second contract on a player that should be better next year, despite Chris's belief that JSN is the new wide receiver 1.
Well, it's because Chris has JSN.
Yeah, I'm aware.
That's why he has that belief. Let's see. But yeah, to your point, Lamar is expensive. Now, that's kind of a logic question here. We don't have a half the contract renegotiation after this year. So if he extends him, he's going to jump, I think, to the Josh Allen price at about $50 million. If he doesn't extend him, he goes into next year at about 45, 46. Yeah, just extending him makes the most sense. I was trying to see if there's a reason that made sense to maybe just let him play out his tag, but I don't think that makes a lot of sense.
No.
So I don't know. Hey,
was he QB1 or was Allen QB1? I guess he was probably Pro Bowl anyways.
Both are Pro Bowl, so it's going to be bad enough.
Yeah.
The Dolphins are up next.
Do they have any players?
They do, but they're rookies.
Yeah.
So he's probably going to be in the acquisition. Now, here's Juwan Johnson at $20 million. But he's 28 and already on a 2-year deal. I don't know if I want to add 2 years to that if I have to. But there's nobody else on his team right now that even makes sense to consider.
Yeah. So it's like, then are you going to go buy a guy who's a potential renegotiation candidate? I don't know. Juwan might be a decent backup plan on using that, but he's going to have a year's issue again, right? Like where he's got all of his rookies now, and then he's got half the draft or whatever. Yeah, you're right. I mean, Juwan, the years of that just might not be of interest. In which case, maybe he doesn't even use his renegotiation,
or he just needs to use it and then trade that
him.
player before the draft next year, because we're going to roll over. And if I had to guess, in terms of dead cap, there's probably about $1 billion of dead cap at least that's going to come off the books, in addition to whatever the increase is. So cash is going to be wildly available, as will years, as soon as we roll over. So grabbing someone, tagging them, and then moving them, or grabbing someone, renegotiating them, and then moving them before the draft is a very easy thing to do.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think if he's not going to actively go out and buy someone that's a better candidate, it makes sense to just use it on Juwan. And tight end is a position that, like, you'll find someone who's like, I'll take Juwan as my second or third tight end for the occasional like touchdown potential.
Yep. All right, so what? Let's go to the Jets. Out of curiosity. Jonathan Taylor was running back 11.
That might be renegotiable.
Yeah, running back 11 is 18.2, so that doesn't do anything.
Mind.
No, that was my first thought too. Conklin, probably not worth it.
No.
BJ Hill, D tackle.
Who renegotiates a D tackle?
I don't know. One of the players probably is renegotiated. Joe Baker, when he played, was pretty good.
He got traded mid-season.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be a little dubious of his long-term role, but
so he was 10 million. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. Like, Jets can package Conklin with his 10 million and go get anything up to 30 million from a team. So there's ways to make some of this stuff work if people are willing to put in a little bit of effort to it.
Yeah.
But like, and some of the stuff he just needs to dump for free. Like, I'm sorry, Deontay Johnson's probably a trade up for free player right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Man,
so crazy to think, like, when he signed or was traded to the Panthers, it was like, man, this is going to be like a target fiend for Carolina. Ugh.
Yeah, I really don't see a renegotiation beside that. Rousseau, though, is going into his 5th year, so he needs to get extended.
Yeah. Hyatt is also due, I think.
No,
he's in his end of his 2nd year, 1st-round pick. So he still has.
He was a 1st-round pick?
Yeah.
Oh. Never mind.
Whoops. It wasn't me, but somebody else. Whoops.
Hey, I know a guy who took Hakeem Butler in the 1st round once.
Who would do something as silly as that?
I have a 1st-round Jonathan Mingo on my team.
Speaking of a team who needs to use this renegotiation, RJ.
Oh, I haven't done anything.
You should renegotiate Saquon.
Oh yeah, it's really expensive.
Yeah.
J.K. Dobbins is an interesting idea.
I would save $3 million, I believe.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Diggs is probably too old.
Yeah.
Also would save $3 or $4 million.
What about Roquan? Would that save anything? Or does he have 5 years?
He's not. He has 5 years.
Yeah. Okay. That's
Yeah, so you got to trade something so you can renegotiate something.
Yep.
Okay, that's fine.
Send me offers. I'm trying to gain some flexibility.
all right. Let's talk
Woohoo!
post pod.
Yep.
Post pod.
Yeah. If any time you wanted to get something off my team, this post pod is probably the best time.
Excellent. Let's just wrap up now, Mike.
We got 2 more teams to do renegotiation talk on, and then we'll do the trades, and then we'll move to that part. We don't need to push for the hour this time, but we got to finish some of the business here. So let's talk about the Titans. Pivoting.
They should renegotiate Christian Kirk. I assume he'll be half his price, and slot receiver. I think that's worthwhile. I think he needs an extension anyways.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. At 28, he's a good option there.
Yeah.
Jonathan Allen's also not a bad idea.
Very true.
15.5. I know we just talked about D tackle.
I mean, I literally renegotiated a D tackle. I was just being funny.
Yeah.
No. The problem is he's 30, and that would get him to 5 years and beyond the retirement deadline.
Well,
so
I mean, you think about it. Like, he's played at a high level. If there was a guy that you'd be confident playing into their 30 or like deep into their 30s, it'd probably be a guy like an interior lineman that has just consistently been good. I mean, it's probably not going to work out, but you can hope for a Calais Campbell, Cameron Wake type of,
Yeah, but I'd rather
longevity.
just do Kirk. Like, if that was my 2 options,
right?
I'd rather extend the receiver into his 30s and reduce that cost.
Yeah, we're just providing options. We're not saying which one's the optimal one.
Right. Allen is 5 years already, so
I can't imagine he would even get that much cheaper, even though he kind of had a down year.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we came up with some good ones there, and then from here on out, he's the Commanders. Nick Bosa was still so all of his DNs are Pro Bowlers.
Oof.
Brandon Graham is expiring. Derrick Henry's a Pro Bowler. Juju's not worth it. Morgan Fox isn't worth it. Well, he's got 1 year anyway. Jack Sanborn's really not worth it.
I would say Bentley, but I'm going to assume that he won't get very much cheaper. And then you're just adding 2 years to a team that just got a new head coach.
Let's see. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't have a renegotiation candidate, but again, could package some of his expiring contracts, like Morgan Fox. I doubt he's going to bring back a comp pick. Brandon Graham. Blackman probably is going to bring back a comp pick, but maybe like a 5th. So he may be worth more as that expiring to make a deal happen. But just got to get creative with this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
he's one that. Let's see. So if I go, who are the expensive wide receivers that could be worth renegotiating here? Because I feel like that's something that Redskins or Commanders, I guess now, go take a look at. Like Devontae Adams, I get it. He's older. He's got 3 years left already.
Yeah.
He's wide receiver 6 in terms of cost. He's wide receiver 13 in terms of performance. Wow, he was that good this year.
That's surprising. Holy shit.
Yeah, I did not expect that.
Yeah, I did not either.
That would drop him by about 3.5.
That's
So
probably not worth it.
yeah,
Isn't he already like 31?
probably
Yeah, I don't know. You want to take him to age 36?
32. Yikes. Okay,
Yeah, that's his last contract.
probably right. All right. Let's see. Anyone else that kind of jumps out there?
I mean, like the bigger game, like the DK Metcalf, like I think that's a pretty good asset to try and get and use as a renegotiation, but you'd have to pay for that. I don't know.
Hopkins.
Hopkins, again, rumored to retire, but then that got ruled out pretty quickly.
He was kind of washed.
Yeah.
What about Calvin Ridley? The Jags have him, right?
Yep.
I thought highly of him. Like, what was it last year and this year? I thought he was going to be really good, but I don't know what he's going to do after this year.
Turpin only on a 1 year, otherwise he could be interesting. Wow, Shaheed, 18 million average per game. That's a lot. Yeah, there's not really a good receiver to renegotiate. What about quarterback?
He could get Debo at half.
Yeah,
Debo's
Seattle's been trying to push that all year.
Could send a D end for Debo.
I feel like I don't know, he's got 5 years on him already, so you can't do that. We talked about Darnold being a good renegotiation target. DJ, we're not sure if he's going to be on a team next year. Otherwise, there's not really a quarterback. Running back, I mentioned McCaffrey, but again, that's probably beyond where people are comfortable having a player like him. Let's see. Montgomery, we talked about already.
Is ETN a renegotiate?
No, I just picked up his 5th year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wish. Where did AJ Brown finish?
It doesn't look like he would provide much.
Okay.
Wide receiver 14 in points per game. And he is wide receiver 14 in pay.
Oh.
DeAndre Swift would come down similarly to McCaffrey. Yeah, that's kind of it. So, not really a whole lot from the offensive perspective. What about defense? The end, anyone jump out in terms of salary?
I have Leonard Floyd.
Floyd would be a good one to renegotiate. Von Miller just got cut.
He was a 1 year.
Yep. Clavon Chason.
I think he was a 1 year too.
Yep. Myles Garrett made the Pro Bowl. Cooper, we talked about. He probably wouldn't be providing much. Cooper was DN 22 at 17 million.
Who's that? Jonathan Cooper?
Jonathan Cooper cuts him to 10 million.
It's not bad.
He's someone to go get. I'll go linebacker, and then we'll go to the trades. We'll talk about Mac Wilson, Gibbons. So, had 2 good games to end up before he got injured. Whether he gets that job again next year is anyone's guess. Spillane, not worth it. Landman already has 4 years. Wagner, no.
Well, Lemon was just cut in half, right? That would be another double dip.
Yeah. Would you really want to do that? And then Olucon's 29 with 3 years left. Like, I don't know if they want to push him to 34.
No.
Not the way the NFL treats linebackers nowadays.
Nope.
Also, like all new regime in Jacksonville. Who knows?
Oh, I'd assume he'd be scooped up by somebody else and be their starting middle linebacker. It's just, when he's 32.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. All right. Closed one too many windows. Let me get trades back up here. And then we'll move to post pod where the magic can and should happen. All right. We didn't do a pod last week, so we'll do 2 weeks worth of trades. I think the last we had was we did the Herbert trade last time we talked. Is it the Colts dump is what we start? So 14 trades to talk about?
No, I believe it's the Geno and Quiddy is actually the first one. I think we talked about Watson and Cooper trade.
Okay. All right, so Quiddy, Jalen, and a 4th for Geno and a 3rd. Good on. I think it's good value for Giants in terms of players converting to picks, and you want to move off Geno, and this was a creative way to do it. So, Saints is really happy to have a second quarterback too.
Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to get like a first and a second of value out of Geno. And I think I got that with Quiddy Pay, who literally went for a first and a second.
And then Jalen, again, seems to constantly levitate on that 1-2 boundary. At least that's what people ask for him, even though he's about to get painfully expensive.
Yeah.
Colby Parkinson, Jalen Ramsey in a 5th, Casey Washington, Tedderall Slanton, and a 3rd. Zay Jones for free. Look, Panthers often knows something I don't know. I'm going to put that out there to start. That's probably what's happening here. Cooper Kupp's going to get is on the trade block. Got it. He's put 175 points last year. 31-year-old receiver. I think he probably has 2 years left that he's still solid. Marshawn Lloyd had 1 carry, 6. 6 carries, 1 reception, and was out for the year.
Yeah, good job, Giants.
Yeah, I mean, Kupp, we don't know where he's going to play. Like, it sounds like it's not going to be LA. And, I am hoping for, like, the Thielen type of a role where he's going to be 150 at most point scorer on wherever he lands, and for a couple of years while he's in his early 30s. But to me, that was worth it. I did like Marshawn Lloyd. I just with the running back class, like I don't think it's a guarantee that like they don't add someone else. And obviously, they're not moving on from Jacobs like we all thought they might after this year, even though their contract allows them to. But like he was so important to their engine, so I was pretty happy to try and just move off of Lloyd and get a piece that I think will be more productive. Two pieces, frankly. I like Andrew Phillips a lot.
Yeah, again, I think it makes a lot of sense, and you know, it's a nice thing about Panthers is he finds a piece he likes and it's in range. It's done. Could he have tried to negotiate for an extra third or something like that in there? Yeah, maybe it would have worked. Maybe it wouldn't have. Who knows? But close enough, so he just pulled the trigger. I think I prefer the older side, but by week 8, I could be singing a very different tune.
Yeah, I mean there's a world where like Jacobs gets hurt or they move on from him because of his contract is like pretty team friendly to do so, and Lloyd could be a primary back for them next year. Like that is not out of the realm of possibility, but
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
101 moving for I think that's 105, 115, and 26 second. Granted, Chargers are rebuilding, so it should be relatively early second, but moving down 3 or 4 spots and picking up a mid first and a future second.
I don't think those numbers are right.
It's 109.
Yeah.
109?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it moved 8 spots.
And then I think the other first is also later than whatever you said.
Yeah, Texans was a playoff team.
Yeah, it was 123.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't like this for Dolphins. I mean, he got more picks, but no, I think that was bad value.
I mean, that's the thing. Like you tank all year to get that pick because it's Genty. Like that's the player in this class. It's a one-player tier as far as I'm concerned right now. That could change between now and the draft, but it's a one-player tier right now. You got to treat it as a premium. And this, I think, last year I accepted a little bit more, but not in this year's draft.
Yeah, I think everyone thought it was a little late. But ultimately it's hard to move those early picks, and if you're trying to get 3 high quality assets in return for it, like you probably could have waited and gotten a better second pick, right? Maybe you get like an 8 and a 15 or something, and that might have been a bit easier to swallow if that's what you're trying to do. But just we were just talking earlier about Dolphins having years issues and stuff. Like at some point you gotta make the picks. You can't just keep trading down forever. So we'll see if this is going to be the year, or is he going to? I don't know. I would love for him to just try and like buy a competitive team and just run that division. But I don't know if
we all would, but he's refusing to.
Yeah.
Use all of his picks this year to buy a team and then sit
Yeah.
on the picks next year.
Well, you still next year's pick first, but yeah.
Well, he
we'll
has
see.
other firsts.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Is that like a Texans? Like, you just go buy Chase? We just talked about how he's got extensions to use and nothing to play. Like, go buy Chase and Devonta Smith, and start your. You already have a quarterback now with Penix and maybe Rattler. Like, I don't know.
He's in a similar situation that I am. He has $78 million in dead cap.
Yeah.
You can dump Brevin Jordan, and that'll help free up some more cap. And then in terms of contracts coming off, he's got Piron coming off, Twiffle coming off. Winston Reed coming off. He's probably got another $20 million coming off next year. So if he's going to buy a team, it makes sense to wait till next year for it. I'm fine with that. But the picks aren't going to change between now and next year. By next year, I mean literally like a rollover. So either way, his team gets to run it out at once. Marcus Davenport for a fourth. Again, just talk about how it's hard to sell high picks. 104 for Brian Branch, Chiefs first, Falcons second, and Cardinals second. So 209,
105, but yeah.
Yeah, 105 for Branch, who's very good safety. I think that's what 125, 126, 121, 214, and 209.
Yeah.
I add up what you paid, and I probably put it around the 212 range. The 112 range. So, I like what you're getting versus what you're giving, especially with one of the pieces being a safety, and I feel like that's a very replaceable position. And again, the market's been set that those premium picks are worth a little bit less right now. So, for breakdown trades. So, I feel like you got it cheap, but that seems to be what the market is bearing right now.
Yeah, I was happy to get a pick in the top 5. There's like 5 guys literally that I would be happy to take there without knowing draft positions. So we'll see with the combine. If some excitement grows here, and maybe I do end up flipping that back to more depth. I didn't love doing like a 4-for-1, but I think the value is worth it to me.
Yeah, it was fine. I mean, you're either going to get running back 2, wide receiver 2, or quarterback 3. Like, that's the safe assumption right now. That's fine.
I will not take quarterback 3 at 5.
You say that.
Unless it's Cam Ward for some reason.
Jackson Dart. Not good.
I did take Kenny Pickett, so I might do it. That's true.
And then Quinn ends up being the Raiders' starting quarterback, and you're stuck taking him.
Don't let that happen, please.
Panthers moves off Tyjae Spears with the Jets 3rd for Buffalo 2nd.
I thought that was like a little interesting. Like, especially after like how he finished the year, I kind of thought he might go even for like a late 1st.
Yeah, 3 really good games to end the year. Kind of getting used by how people want him to get used. Rebuilding, and he's on the younger side. Pollard getting kind of put in that more complimentary role. I don't know.
Yeah, it's gonna be like, because of this like deep running back class, like it could blow up so many backfields. Like, it's hard to say, right? You don't like, this is already a committee. So like, if they were to add another body, you'd just be like, all right, geez, it's gonna be a hydra here of running backs, but
yeah, could be worse. I think in the league we have now, it's not a bad thing. You need some depth. Quality's great, but depth is just as important. Julio McLaughlin and True Tranquil for Panthers 3rd. So seemingly buying McLaughlin to renegotiate him.
but
Bears coming. What's that?
He can't renegotiate him.
Why not?
He hasn't finished 2 years.
Yeah, he's still only 2 years
No,
experience.
this is the 2nd year that he's finished. So his experience is 2 years. He completed 23 and 24. So that's 2 years of experience. He can renegotiate him.
I don't know. Goose in the bylaw, abiding Goose said that Bucks, because the Bucks tried to renegotiate him. Goose said it wasn't possible, and then Bucks traded him, and then Cardinals tried to do it, and then Goose is like, this still isn't possible.
All right, let's go check the bylaws live on the podcast. Am I wrong? Very possibly, but I'm going to read the bylaw because must have at least 3 years of NFL experience to be eligible for renegotiation. So if it was just 2 years, then you could be renegotiated, but it's 3 years, so it's not.
Yep.
So, got it. So, anyways, we brought him up as a potential renegotiation candidate earlier, so I feel less bad about it. Gerald Everett getting dumped with a fifth to Chargers, frees up $10, $11 million of cap space for Bears. Chargers also taken Josh Uche from the Broncos, $13.5 million, paying 2/5 to do it. Picks up $25 million in cap hit. We'll see if those guys are worth it.
Yeah, I mean they're expensive, but I mean like contract wise, but it's 1/5 essentially to add those two players.
Yeah,
he had the space because his entire roster's young. It's not horrible. Like if they land in new roles, they could be tradable assets. It's a low opportunity cost.
Yep. Uche will be a free agent, so
Yeah.
that's fair. All right. Even though I said we don't need to do the full hour, we'll go to trades quickly. We're at 57 minutes. So even on accident, we gave people content. Look at that. How good are we? All right. So whether we have another pod between now and rollover is completely up to you guys in terms of how active we are. If there's a flurry of trades that make sense that we need to do an emergency, we will. Otherwise, we'll wait until MFL freezes at some point in the next couple of days as they do their rollover, and then when we freeze to do our rollover. So get things in when you can, because you never know when you're not going to be able to. But for now, we're going to see if we can get this party started. So appreciate the Giants and the Eagles jumping on with me, and let's get crazy.
Like, oh.